Alright, so what we're looking at today is a home build for a PID controller. PID, PID, stands for Proportional Integral Derivative. But basically it's going to be just kind of a fancy thermostat. And the PID itself is actually just this unit here. And I've put it into a this case here is an old power supply case for, I believe, a Dell Optiplex something or other. That part isn't really important. The important part is that it's a nice metal case that's large enough to house all the stuff that I want to put in it, and it comes with its own receptacle and also a fan. That's pretty much the only things that I'm using out of it. So I don't have any of the wiring done yet. I keep that out of the way and I'll show you what's going on the inside now. The computer power supply, of course, is going to it had a large circuit board and a bunch of wires, big wire harness coming out of it. I pulled all that stuff out and basically just left where the power comes in. It's these two wires, and I also left the fan in. Although I did turn the fan around, because if I look at the flow direction, it had been like an exhaust fan pushing air out of here. And I want to actually push air into the case, because this is part of the PID kit that I got. It's a solid state relay. Let's see if it's focusing on that. This gets a little bit warm, or it can get warm during operation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount it in here, right in front of the fan, and hopefully if I can get this fan to work with my PID controller, it should blow air on it the entire time this is in operation. One of the things I also did is I just put a power switch on here, just so I can turn the whole thing on and off with a switch. So I'm going to be wiring my power into that switch and then out from there. Again, I haven't done any of the wiring yet. Just want to keep it out of the way for now. I did glue it in on the back side here. I cut this part out about the right size, and it does snap in there, but to make it a little bit more solid, I glued it on the back side, the top and bottom here. Alright, on the front of this thing, this had been just this wire mesh, and there was a hole here that all the big wire harness was coming out of. I'm using that to mount all my other pieces here. So this is the PID controller, and this is what the thermocouple plugs into, and this is what I'm going to have my load plugged into. Now in this case, what I'm using this for is to control this Lee melting pot. This is the way that it comes. There's just a dial on it from low to high, and you don't get very precise temperature control doing that. And I want to be able to keep that melting pot about 525 degrees Celsius or thereabouts. So that's what this whole PID thing is about, is just to precise controlling of that temperature. So the way that this works is this is my thermocouple here. So this is going to go into, it sits in the pot. This is going to plug into here, this receptacle. And basically that temperature probe is going to be constantly giving feedback to the PID unit about what the temperature is inside the pot. And if the temperature is too low, then the PID controller provides power to to this relay, solid state relay, and it'll close the relay, which provides power. In that case, 120 volt AC. It'll close that and basically close that connection so that power can flow through there and into my receptacle, basically turning it on. Temperature gets to the right temperature or a little bit above, it will sense that as well, and it'll close the relay, breaks the connection, and this receptacle turns off. So I'm no longer providing power to the pot, and it's no longer heating. Now the dial on here, I did have to open. I did have to open this part up and basically bypass the dial, because I don't want to use the dial anymore. I just want it to be basically full on or full off, and have the controller, the PID controller, control when that happens. So that's about it. I'll do another video here and show, once I get this all wired up, I'll show how the wiring works. But basically I'm going to mount this inside of here. This is going to go together. So my relay ends up in front of this fan, and as you can see, there's a number of things I need to wire in here. The thermocouple is wired to the controller. The relay, solid state relay, is wired to the controller, and then of course I need to provide power on both sides of this, to one side of the relay, so that when PID turns it on, I get power to my receptacle and I get heat to my pot. So that's about it for now. I'll do some wiring and see if I can show that off.